My husband insisted that I don't clean the fridge in his absence. I did it once and found out a creepy truth about him. My husband Mike and I have been happily married for over 5 years. We're a typical family with no significant problems or scandals. But from the very beginning of our married life, my husband Mike had a very strange demand. He insisted that I should never clean our fridge while he's absent. He never mentioned that I shouldn't, for example, clean the bathroom or wash our car when he's absent. The only thing he was so persistent about was the fridge. When I asked him about his motives, he mumbled something about not wanting me to throw away food that we can still eat and wanting to keep this process under his control. I've never had a habit of throwing away food and I always check expiration dates. If the food is expired, of course, I won't keep it any longer in the fridge, but this is something all normal people do because who wants to consume expired products? I recalled how Mike once brought home a metal box that he carefully placed in the fridge. He used to check on it often during the day, which was really strange. When I asked him about it, Mike explained that it contained some rare kind of olives that his friend James got from his granddad and wanted Mike to keep for some time. I had no problem with Mike keeping this metal can safe at the bottom of our fridge, but he was really annoying because he always asked me to be cautious with the can and never open it. As he said, it would be rude to touch other people's stuff. I added that this can of olives had been kept in our fridge for many years and no one ever claimed it. James never came to pick them up, and Mike never mentioned when he would give it back. Last month, I decided to clean out the fridge while I had some spare time. Mike was at work, urgently completing his monthly plan, and I decided to make a small violation of our family agreement and clean the fridge while he was away. I started this ordinary procedure and didn't even suspect that this step would mean the end of my happy marriage and the crash of all my hopes and plans. The whole thing took me about 2 hours, including unplugging the fridge, emptying all shelves, and putting away all items, groceries, some vegetables, and food containers with pre-cooked dishes. I then started washing and cleaning the inside of the fridge and let it settle before plugging it in again. During this time, I sorted out all the items I took out of the fridge before cleaning, checking expiration dates, and throwing away those that were off. I took the box my husband brought and checked the dates on it too. I noticed that the olives were expired, so without a second thought, I decided to throw it away too. I explained that besides the expiration date, I noticed that the container with olives was leaking, and it looked dangerous to consume these olives anyway. So I didn't even think of the consequences, except for the potential risk of this food being further stored in our fridge. While I was bringing the can to the garbage bin, it cracked even more and the top almost fell off. The contents of the can spilled on the floor. To my surprise and horror, those weren't olives at all. I saw some liquid pouring down on the floor from the can. It had some chemical smell. And then I saw what was stored in this liquid. These were 2 small cuts of an umbilical cord. I knew instantly what they were because my sister preserved the remains of her baby's umbilical cord to keep as a memory of the day my niece was born. She used to show them to me once or twice, and I recognized them immediately. When Mike came back home from work, I immediately initiated a talk with him. I told him that the can of olives expired and was leaking, so I decided to throw it away. When I said this, Mike went pale. I asked him why he was so worried about this can of olives, and he said that they were very expensive, and so on. But I interrupted him, asking him a straightforward question about those umbilical cord parts I found in the can. He had nothing left to do but tell me the truth, and it was shocking. It turned out that Mike had a love of his life, a woman named Rosa, with whom he had 2 babies who were twins. The babies were born when Mike and I were already married, and he kept it a secret from me all this time. These were the parts of their umbilical cords that Mike was storing all this time in that can of olives in our family fridge. Rosa and Mike couldn't get married or be together because her family was totally against Mike and Rosa's life. All this time, while he and I were married, he was seeing Rosa secretly and taking care of his 2 kids. I was absolutely shaken to find out all this information from a man with whom I have lived a big part of my life. I hadn't even suspected that a can of olives would be the beginning of an end of my family life and a total disaster for my marriage. I'm filing for divorce and I can't stop thinking of this huge betrayal from the person whom I sincerely loved. My husband of 5 years hid a devastating secret. He had a second family. I'm heartbroken and lost. He's begging me to stay for the sake of his children, but I don't know what to do. Has anyone been in a similar situation? Any advice would be greatly appreciated.